Alright folks, how's it going? Couple of quick things. Obviously this is now a couple of days after the fire, and more horrendous stories are coming out. Some of the journalism that we've seen, I think, has been pretty impressive. I know some people think that it's quite in your face and naturally are a bit off-put at what appears to be journalists putting cameras in people's faces, but obviously no one is forced onto camera, and it's really important that we capture the depth of emotion and the scale of this tragedy, both for the humans that have experienced it and for all of the other more technical aspects of what went on, because it's only with the totality of how that is all captured that provokes the public response that leads to politicians having to take action. It's the journalism that moves everything else into place. So as much as obviously it's difficult, and you probably do get some opportunists out there, on the whole, from what I've seen, the journalists have conducted themselves really well. In particular, Victoria Derbyshire in the early morning, when dealing with the first responders, dealing with people who still didn't know where their family were, people going from shock straight into grief. The balance of professionalism and human sensitivity, I thought, was equally touching. The other thing now, obviously, is that as the pieces begin to settle, then you start to see the various different sections of the argument emerging. So you've got a lot of people who, like myself, that are taking a lead from the community and educating ourselves about what the community has been saying about this before it actually happened, educating ourselves about some of the other issues ongoing in that community, whether it be the gentrification, whether it be issues around local bloggers being threatened with legal action, all of these things, and trying to express that stuff out. Then you've got another section of people who are showing solidarity with the community but aren't as quick to, put their eggs in that basket. People that maybe want to wait a wee minute to see, how all the facts play out, or they feel a bit apprehensive about saying too much too soon before they know exactly what's going on. And then you've got other people who are actually kind of antagonistic towards anyone who is asserting that poverty has some factor to play in this. Based on the fact that obviously we can assume that incidents like this are likely to occur in areas where we have higher numbers of people. So dense population, densely populated areas, that's poverty. Social housing, that's poverty. Social housing in a densely populated area, that's poverty. The fact that people's complaints were ignored or dismissed, that's political exclusion. The fact that the people in there, in the house, as it's been burnt down, have lost everything, that's social mobility, that's poverty, that's social deprivation. So all of these different circumstances, where we might not be able to say, okay, that was the thing that lit the match, we're not saying a poor person just combusted and their poverty is a direct link to the fire. What we're saying is that this is a convergence of negligences, and that many experts have went on record in the last few days across a number of different professions, confidently speaking in the language of negligence and also linking that to the fact that it's a poor community. So these are all the different issues at play, obviously. What we're being told is that we should wait for facts. Of course, we already know the facts about the fact that the Grenfell Action Group in November 2016 in a blog said themselves that they thought it would take a loss of life before anybody would adequately scrutinise the safety procedures and general management of the community as a whole. So they predicted this at the end of 2016, and it's on their blog and you can go and search for it. These are the words they said. So we already know that that's a fact. So if people are interested in facts and interested in being rational, then it might be rational to acknowledge the fact that people warned about a fire and then there was a fire. So why would we make the mistake of continuing to ignore them now and say, wait for the experts? The experts told them to stay in their house. The experts told them that a fireproof door was enough to save them. When they were going to leave, people told them to go back. It ended up being the front of the building that caught fire. So those doors and those procedures and the experts that designed the building and the experts that curated the materials and the experts that all of this All of this, what it tells you is that sometimes experts are right and sometimes they're wrong, and you can understand why people in that community are sceptical of anybody at this point. So these are the points that, that I've certainly been thinking about with regards to this issue. The final thing that I want to talk about is the response for Theresa May, and I mentioned this on LBC yesterday when I did a short interview with them about the vlog that I did yesterday. Theresa May says the full resources will be deployed to the community in order to give them everything they need. That's what she said. It's very late in the day for her to do that. Now, this is another aspect that won't be as prominent in the discussion unless we keep it there, and that is that Theresa May can feign all she likes the concern for that community, but the Tory government that she's been a part of for 10 years has presided over a campaign that places people in that community under constant stress. So while this might not be her intention or the intention of Tory politicians, they genuinely ideologically believe that their harsh welfare policies are not only socially responsible but will encourage people to lift themselves out of poverty. I get that. I don't call Tories scum, and I challenge people in my community who do, because I don't think that's a good look for us. But at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that withdrawing benefits, that a kind of inhumane sanctions regime that's all about reminding people that they are poor, that's all about reminding people that they're less than, it's all about reminding people that they're subservient, that they're needy, that contrary to what the benefit system's supposed to do, which is empower people, it actually treats them like criminals a lot of the time. And we know this. We know already that 4,000 people, has just been announced, died after being declared fit to work. Something is wrong with the Tory policy, and they need to start dialing that back. Theresa May and her government have presided over a campaign that raises stress levels in these communities, these densely populated communities, these communities where people have to work twice as hard to make half the advance in their life, where they're facing the whole gravitational field that is poverty, that comprises factors of social, political, cultural and physiological domains that are out with the understanding of a lot of experts, to be perfectly frank. And she parachutes into the community and doesn't meet anyone that actually was affected with the fire. She goes and she meets in the community privately. She goes and talks to firemen and women. She goes and talks to emergency services. But she doesn't meet anyone for the community because she doesn't know how to. She doesn't know how to. It's either because she's anxious that it's going to be a security incident, because the people in that community think so little of her, and politicians generally, or it's the fact that she will feel awkward around them, and that is as a result of the vast social, cultural gulf between the people that live there and between people like Theresa May. And this cuts to the core of what is wrong in this country, because even people like Theresa May with the best of intentions and quite a lot of resources and knowledge at their disposal are so far removed from the people over here that everything they attempt to say and do just gets lost in translation before it gets here, and therefore it just makes no sense to anyone. The people over here think this is a parody of reality. They can't believe people like Theresa May are actually real people. The stark frightening thing is they are, and they're in charge of things. In comes Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn has been in the community all day with his arms round people. People have been reading letters. He's been sitting, spending time actively listening to people. He's natural around people. Why is that? That's leadership. That is a real leader, a community leader, a leader of people, a leader of a country. You can tell with the way he is around people. I understand public relations. I understand that politicians need to have a little bit of a sheen around them. But I also understand that he appears to really understand and empathise with the struggle of people in that community. And then you can take him out of there and put him in a conversation with any other type of person, the top journalists in this country, the top politicians in this country, and he can change gear and he can deal with them as well. That's the sort of guy that people want in their corner. That's the sort of guy that's showing real leadership. And I think that as this begins to pan out, what Jeremy Corbyn and what the community in Grenfell are showing is an alternative way that we can reverse the polarity of this country and be community orientated people and have leaders that aren't scared to put their arms around us, and have leaders that aren't scared to sit down and shed tears with us. And people like Theresa May, God love her, man. She's so privileged, I pity her. But when I look in her eyes, then I'm not seeing somebody that cares. I'm seeing somebody that's worried about what everyone thinks about her. I'm seeing somebody that's worried about the cameras. And to me, that's no leadership. I wonder what you think. Leave a comment below. Cheers for checking out the other videos. Take it easy.